Okay, I'm sitting under my sink. And it's in my room at Lucy Bruno. This is a physical rehabilitation center in Montreal. It's just up the hill on Laurier Street. There's no room in this tiny room for a desk, so I have to adapt. I'm sort of balancing my notebook beside my sink on a little corner of counter beside my telephone. I'm writing an essay. I'm taking a course at Champlain College, the psychology of sexuality. It's really fun. And I love human behavior. It's my thing. Actually, it's the last 3 credits I need before I apply to McGill in social work. Just a few years ago, in January 1985, I was hit by a car in bad weather in Greenfield Park, and I've been in rehab ever since. Lucy Bruno is the last stage in rehabilitation, and the goal is to live independently in your adapted apartment afterwards. I can't wait to get out of here and to start my real life in a real world. Just try and imagine what it was like for me. On the 2nd floor, there's about 10 or 12 people just like me with spinal cord injuries. We've been all herded together to support each other in this time that is so very difficult for us. We're all quite young. Some of us had been in car accidents. Some are just high-risk takers. And others have just been at the wrong place at the wrong time. So we're all young, about in our early 20s. And we're all about 1 or 2 years into this new life of ours in a wheelchair. And something that's happening at the same time is the insurance policies are being settled. So there's all this new money floating around. So there's all kinds of partying going on. And people are flying their nurses off to Cuba and taking their orderlies to on cruises to Bermuda. It's like everyone has this thing all figured out. This thing being dating, disability, and needing personal care. Everybody's all decked out in this. What more have I got to lose attitude? Everyone except me. I feel awkward. I feel uncomfortable in my own skin. I'm 21 years old. I haven't dated very much since I've been in a wheelchair, but I'm fascinated about it because of this psychology course I'm taking. So I'm starting my essay, and it's about human behavior and the mind-body connection. It's starting to sound really good, like I know what I'm talking about. And then at 10:30, the phone rings. I pick it up and it's Salut, c'est Serge. And my heart does a little flutter. And I say, oh, hi. And he says, oh, well, I was really sorry that you didn't come to my place after the movie. How about I make lunch and we can go eat in the park tomorrow? How does that sound? I say, that just sounds great. See you then, and I hang up. So here's what happened. A bunch of us, after supper, decided to go to an early movie, a group thing. But then a bunch of people dropped out, so it ended up being just me and Serge and Sonia, the three of us. So, Sonia, I have to say, is my closest friend in rehab. Both of them work as orderlies where I live. Sonia is going to be a social worker, just like me. So we hit it off and we drink coffee and have all these great conversations. We go out for supper, talk for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and go out drinking on St. Denis Street. She's a really fun friend. And she's picked up on the attention Serge has been giving me. So she's going to be really happy for me. So what happened is, after the movie on our way home, Serge asked us both to his apartment to have a bottle of wine. And I was still feeling awkward and weird. So I said, oh, no, not tonight. I can't do that. And he sends me, so they drop me back at the rehab. And that was it for me for the night. But now, he wants to see me tomorrow. And that sort of sounds like a date. And I kind of knew he was into me. I really did. And he's kind of good looking. You know, he's all neck and shoulders and strut. Kind of my type, you know. So we'll see how that goes. So it looks like a date. This is a date? I'm terrified. What will I wear? And then I continue on with my essay. And as I'm finishing it up, the phone rings again. This time it's Sonia. Oh, and I'm really wondering, it's weird that she's calling so late. She says, she sounds like she's been running. She says, I just got in. I went to Serge's apartment. We had sex, and I wanted to tell you. I wanted you to know, just in case you got mad or sad or weird or something. And I look into the mirror beyond my sink, and I'm thinking, I just don't know what I'm dealing with here. And I'm stunned, and I'm not sure what to say. And I look down at my essay and my conclusions, and I look at her. No, and I say to her, so, how was the sex? And she says, oh, well, you know, meh. And hangs up like it didn't mean a thing. So I'm lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, so went to a movie, got invited for a drink. I said no, came back. They went off and had sex. Okay, so now I know. This is the 80s. I mean, casual sex. Maybe it's time for Madeleine to grow up. But then what's going on about tomorrow? Is this a pity date? An apology date? Maybe she won't mind date? I go to bed. I fall asleep with this spinning around in my head, all confused. The next day at noon, all decked out in my what more do I have to lose attitude, Serge starts pushing me down the road in my manual chair to go to Laurier Park for lunch. He puts me beside the bench and sits down beside me. And you know, it starts off pretty sweet. He's made an effort. He's got this picnic thing going on. He's made little sandwiches, cut them in little pieces. He's got little baby carrots and drinks. It's fine. It's nice. So we're munching on our carrots and just, but then the conversation is just so awkward and nervous, and I'm working way too hard to make this work. So I decided to look around and just enjoy being in the world, the real world. So I look up, and that sky is blue, and there's big fluffy clouds, and there's a squirrel in front of me going up a tree, and the tree is so tall, I'm thinking, how old is that tree, and who planted that tree, and what did Montreal look like at the beginning of this century? And okay, I'm trying to avoid him because he's got egg on his face, and it's kind of grossing me out. I look across, opposite us. I look over. A couple of benches down, there's a young mother bouncing her baby on her knee, and the baby's looking up at her and all drool and giggles, and it's so adorable. And then I look over, and Serge is staring at me. And I realize, oh, okay, I've been ignoring him for a while. But he's still got this egg going in it. So I look at him, and I look into his eyes, and I'm trying to figure him out. But it's really hard to read. And he at first he looks like he's admiring me, soaking up all the details of the world like I do. And then he looks like he just might be thinking about kissing me, but he's still got this egg, and I just can't do that. And then his eyes sort of cloud over like with regret, and he blurts out, "Sonia came to my place yesterday, we had sex, and I thought you should know." It's like, okay, it's out there. He's being honest. I don't really know how I feel about this, but I do know that I'm feeling a little bitchy towards Sonia. So I say, well, you know, Serge, Sonia sleeps with everyone. And he leans back on the bench and he laughs out loud and he says, "Oh, what a relief. I thought you might be mad or sad or weird or something." Still don't know how I'm feeling about this. Anyway, the egg falls off it. It falls onto his pants. He wipes it away like nothing matters. And then he he gets this sleazy grin on his face and says, well, you know, maybe you both can come to my place tonight. Oh. So I look down at myself, and I just feel so ridiculous that I had ever thought this guy was my type. What was I thinking? He's a creep. This is gross. I don't want to be here. The silence drags on. And then I'm thinking about my essay that I just wrote. So I look over at him and I say, so how was the sex? And then he slithers down the bench even farther, if that's even possible. And he looks down at the dirt. And he gets this look on his face like he's got a bad taste in his mouth. And he says, oh, well, you know, meh. And then, hallelujah, it's over. It's 10 to 1. I have physio at 1 o'clock. He has to be back at work at 1. Serge pushes me down the street, back to the rehab. Through the sliding doors, he deposits me in the lobby, and I never have to speak to him again. And you know what? I'm not mad. And I'm not sad. But I must be weird or something because I want so much better than, you know,